Hello, my name is Ryan. I'm a PCA at Career Lab. I study biology and public health, and I'm here with Jackson Kelly, a fellow PCA. Say hi, Jackson. You can
Hey,
introduce
everyone.
yourself as well.
Yeah, sure. I'm Jackson Kelly, as Ryan said. I'm a sophomore this year, and I think I'm studying economics and political science, so I've yet to declare. I'm a new PCA, so I'm just getting going on it, which is very fun.
Yeah, so we're here today to talk about networking with alumni and why it's important. And really the purpose of today's talk is to demystify what networking is, and to help you figure out how to do it on your own because it's really scary, um, but it doesn't have to be. And we're here to help you figure that out. Some housekeeping items before we get started. I want to remind you all that the chat is open for your questions. Please send them in whenever they come up. We are more than happy to answer them either during the presentation or at the very end, whenever works best for you. And also, this meeting is being recorded to be posted to the Career Lab YouTube page. I just wanted to let you know so that if you wanted to remain anonymous, you can do that and keep your camera off, and also change your name um, accordingly. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, yeah, let's get right into it.
Alrighty, yeah. So today we're going to be doing, as you can see the agenda, I'm just going to run through it real quick. So we're going to start off just what is networking, kind of just like the basics, getting going on that, and then how can we access the Brown Network? Because we're here, we know we have incredible resources of all the alumni I've graduated from here, and so we're going to talk about the best ways to get in contact with them, including information sessions, Brown Connect, LinkedIn, and the extracurriculars we're involved in on campus. Then beyond that, we're going to talk about informational interviewing and kind of the main highlights there, what our goals are, which is going to be to have a purpose, kind of the quick spiel of who you are, the elevator pitch, and then asking for referrals once you've had that informational interview, and then making sure to thank them afterward. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A. Alrighty, starting it off. So what is networking? Networking is a deliberate activity to build, reinforce, and maintain relationships with trust and other people to further your goals. Members of your network can tell you about a job opening is not being advertised, refer you to their contacts, keep an eye out for opportunities that might be right for you, and act as references, during your search. And so, yeah, kind of just like a point here is that 80% of those jobs are never listed publicly. And that's going to be very different by field. But most of the jobs that you're going to land over the course of your life, and pretty much everyone here, is going to be through someone they know. And you can debate whether or not it's a good thing, but that's how it works. And so networking is really important. Those people you're going to make connections with here may be someone that's going to help you land a job later in life, or someone that they know. So networking is very important. Alrighty, next slide. Perfect. So how can we access the Brown Network? There are many ways to do so, but I think the main four ways that we're going to focus on here with the Career Lab, and the four most effective ways, I think, are going to be through these four options: information sessions, Brown Connect, LinkedIn, and then the extracurriculars you're involved in here. Perfect. Yeah, normally these information sessions would be on campus, but this semester they're going to be Zoom, of course, as is everything right now. And alrighty, so showing up for Brown recruiting events is the proven way to distinguish yourself and connect with Brown alumni and other people at the company you're applying to. And this is especially true in industries where there's going to be they're very popular industries where there's a lot of people that are going to be applying for these positions and stuff. And so networking on campus is going to connect you with someone who went to your school often and someone who wants to actually recruit you actively to their employer. And that's going to be a really important way to actually get in the front door, maybe land that first interview round and get going on those. Alrighty, sometimes the presenters at information sessions, coffee chats, and panels for on-campus recruitment are Brown grads. Exactly like I just mentioned, kind of. People who graduate from here are going to be at least a little bit loyal, we hope, to the undergrads here who are going to be searching for their jobs as they graduate. And so that's why jobs are internships, actually. And that's why it's really important to go to these things, because those Brown grads are going to want to hook you up because, like I said, most jobs are landed through connections. When they were here, they probably had connections that landed in the jobs that they are now working. Alrighty, why do Brown grads like Brown students? Because they know you're bright, eager, and passionate. It's your opportunity to show that. That's what the information sessions do for you. They know that the people here are going to be smart, just like they were, but it's a really good opportunity, these information sessions, to actually connect one-on-one, maybe make them remember you, and then they're a lot more likely to hook you up in the future. Alrighty, still very important here. The information session is never really done at the end because afterward you should always follow up. So here we can take a quick look. I'll give everyone a chance to read this real quick, what's on the screen, because it's a great example of what you're going to be trying to do. I'll give it like 20 seconds. Alrighty, I'm kind of just going to go back in here and highlight what our friend Tristan here did right. And so after this information session, which he attended, a Morgan Stanley info session, like I said, this is one of those popular jobs that's going to be difficult to land, and it's important that he made that connection. So after he talked with this individual, he made that connection and he went through and made sure that they remembered him. He emailed them after the information session, talked about what they discussed, and then asked for that further interview, which is something that they may have talked about in person. Like you said, he wanted that mock interview and asked for their availability. And this is just a great step on the way for landing Tristan that job and making Tristan that connection that may be beneficial to him in his future. Perfect. Now we're getting into Brown Connect itself. So this is a little different from the information sessions because this is our online database. So Brown Connect does a lot of things here for us. And I'm just going to read through these bullet points real quick before getting into the weeds. So Brown Connect allows you to search for internships, research opportunities, funding, and connections within the Brown community. And on Brown Connect, which Ryan's going to show us in a minute here, there are a lot of different ways to do this, which is really cool. There's like lots of different buttons and filters you can push, and that's going to make it a lot easier for you to streamline this search and make connections. Alrighty, alumni, parents, and friends of Brown students and graduates post internships, research opportunities, and funding on this platform. So yeah, like I said, there's a lot of different ways to search for that. And then the people that are going to be posting on there already want to help Brown students. And that's why it's an especially good resource. Alrighty, so you can also search for alumni by country, city, industry, sector, or extracurriculars at Brown, and by sports team, degree, and concentration. These are lots of different ways that you're going to connect with someone, right? Filtering by country, city, or industry, or sector, those are things that are going to be relevant to what you want to do in life. You're not just going to reach out to a random Brown grad. Let's say you're interested in consulting. You'll reach out to someone who's in consulting. Maybe you want to work in, I don't know, Washington, D.C. You filter for Washington, D.C. in consulting. And that'll be a really good opportunity for you to make a connection that's actually going to be doing what you want to do once you're out of Brown. And then beyond that, those extracurricular activities, sports teams, degrees, concentration, those are going to be other ways that you're going to be able to connect with this individual, especially the extracurriculars and the sports teams, because that's going to be a common topic of conversation you can discuss, a good way to get going with them, and someone who may have some extra sympathy or empathy toward you because they know that you were doing the same thing that they did when they were Brown. And just to highlight the benefits of this resource, there are more than 52,000 alumni of Brown listed on this site. A lot of people there for you to connect to.
Awesome. So thank you for that, Jackson. That was really fantastic. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, is we're going to do a little Brown Connect demo. I'm going to pull up Brown Connect here on my computer. I'm going to share my screen and show you an example way of how to use Brown Connect. So can everyone see this Brown Connect page? Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and click started. We're going to log in, and it's going to take you right here. And this is the main, your main landing pad oftentimes. So let's say I'm going to pick up a random search. I want to live in San Francisco. So I'm going to search for San Francisco, and here are all the alumni that are currently in San Francisco. And I can filter by alumni, and it'll show very specifically what they do, where they work, if they filled out their program. So let's say that I want to become a voice actor. And very conveniently here we have Nina Ann placed, who's a voice actor. This is a very niche interest, but I really just want to show you exactly how to go about using Brown Connect as a networking tool. So you're going to go to her profile and you read about all the things that they've done, all the education that they've received. You can even look at their personal website, and you can look at things that they're doing. And so let's say you want to connect with this person. You're going to click this little email icon. It's going to take you here. This is a really general statement that Brown Connect auto-populates for you or auto-produces for you. And so you go in and you change some things, insert your class level, insert your interest area. I would also recommend changing your subject to something a little more eye-catching, and also to really personalize this if you feel comfortable, and indicate why you're interested in the field that you're interested in and what brought you here, and maybe changing some of this language to be more personable if that's what you're up for. But it's very simple to be able to use and connect with alumni. I think it's a really phenomenal tool. And so what I want to do is show you some other features of Brown Connect to help you use that a little bit better. Um, like I said, you can filter by the type of alumni they are, whether they were undergrad or graduate, where they're living, the industry year that they are in. If you want to work in government, you can sort by all of the alumni working in government that are now living in San Francisco, which is 50. Um, and you can sort by activities that they've done, sports that they were in, all these different things. Just as Jackson was talking about, I really recommend that you go through and you scroll through some of these things and figure out what things you have in common with some alumni, and ask and start connecting and start reaching out. And that's how you use Brown Connect. I want to pause for a little bit and ask for questions. Are there any? Feel free to send them in the chat. And if there aren't, I'm just going to continue presenting. Well, all right, I'm going to keep going. Hopefully we're doing a good job then. I guess that means that. All right, so that was the Brown Connect demo. Now we're going to be looking at LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is another really great resource for networking. It's a little bit different, as it's like the social media network for networking, and it's a really phenomenal tool. I prefer it over Brown Connect, just for really no other reason than personal preference, but I'm going to show you how to do that as well, and how to use LinkedIn. So let me pull that up side by side. Brown Connect. You can see this page. And now we're going to go to LinkedIn. Brilliant. So there are a few things that I want to share with you. First of all, looking at using LinkedIn, you're going to have a LinkedIn profile. We have a separate workshop on that entirely, of how to create a LinkedIn profile. But to give you the TLDR, what it is basically your online resume. So if you're confident in your resume, or even if you're not confident in your resume but want a LinkedIn profile, you just download, you go to linkedin.com, you create a profile, and you just put in the experiences that you have on your resume. And that's exactly what it is. It's just an online copy of your resume. And that's how you get started. But to use Brown Connect as a networking tool, what I recommend you start with is going to the Brown University webpage and then clicking their alumni feature. This is really handy because this targets, sometimes it's going to be different sets of alumni, because Brown Connect is a set of alumni that are really active with their alumni email account. And if they're not active with their alumni email account, you might not be able to contact them. But LinkedIn is typically going to be a faster and easier communication source. And so it might be a really great place to also, or not might, it is a really great place for you to look and search through and use as a tool to network. So again, you're here. There are so many different categories that you can organize by: where they live, where they're working, what they studied. Let's say I'm a history major and I want to talk to people that also concentrated in history, and I want to learn what the heck you can do with a history concentration. And I also, so you want to talk to someone who's in history, and here's a little bit of LinkedIn lingo, is how you're connected. So your first connections are people that you're personally connected with, the people that you've already added to your network of sorts. Second are people that those people know. And third are the people that those people know. So it's like a little bit of a ring of people that around you. And so the more people that you add and the more people that you connect with on LinkedIn, the more people you're then going to be able to see as third connections. So let's say you scroll down and you find somebody who's really interesting to you, who studied history. Let's say Jesse here, VP of Strategy and Growth at Frontier Communications. Funny enough, I have people connected with him that are that know him. But anyway, so how you go about connecting with someone is you press this connect button, and then you add a note. And this is I highly suggest doing this, because what this is going to do is just the same way you wrote a little email for people, alumni on Brown Connect. This is going to offer you the same opportunity to do the same. Just introduce yourself. And I believe that we have a sample of that later in the presentation of hi. My name is Ryan. I concentrate in biology and public health. I'm really interested in learning more about this industry. I was wondering if you have time to talk to me over the next few days. And that's LinkedIn. It's really simple and straightforward. The best way to learn how to use it is to just play around and do your best. And if you have any questions, again, please feel free to share them with either I or with Jackson or with the Career Lab. So I'm going to stop sharing here and go back to our presentation. Again, loving and asking for questions, but if there aren't any, we're going to keep going. Cool. So that was LinkedIn. Just like I said, here's a sample message that you can send along with your connections on LinkedIn. I really suggest doing this. And we're going to be able to distribute these slides to you at the end of the presentation. So don't worry about taking notes or anything like that, and you'll be able to have access to this. So going forward, I did skip one. Okay, so here's the thing. So these are all based on notifications. It's very likely that alumni are incredibly busy. Hopefully they're busy, because if they're not busy, I don't know. Hopefully they're busy. But that comes with the downside of maybe you're not going to be able to connect with them right away. So one thing I recommend doing is creating a spreadsheet of all the people that you're interested in talking to. Do some research, and then indicate how many times you've reached out to them. So I've reached out to them once. Okay, they didn't respond. 3 days later, write them another message and say, indicate your interest again. I really want to talk to you. Is there any availability in your schedule? I'm really interested. And then indicate that and update your spreadsheet. And it's really not pestering until they tell you to stop emailing you. Don't send them a message every hour, every single day. But if you're messaging a responsible amount of time in between each message, following up a couple of times, you're doing just fine. And don't feel, be persistent, but don't feel that you're being overwhelming, because they will let you know if you're being overwhelming. But Brown alumni are incredibly friendly, incredibly helpful, and I've never experienced that. I do have a message in the chat, and I'm going to go ahead and read this question. So, more about emailing people in general. How do you suggest we address people we're contacting for the first time, dear blank? Should we usually go by writing out their full name, first name? Is it different if they are a professor? This is a phenomenal question. Thank you for asking. So personally, what I do is I do a little bit of research. If they have a PhD, I'm always going to address them as Dr. Blank, Dr. Blank. You can do first and last name, but or just last name. I would never do start off with first name, because that is a little bold, especially in certain industries where that's not exactly normal, and especially if they are of a bit of a higher tenure or a little further on in their career than you are. If they're right out of college, let's say they graduated 2 years ago, I feel it's going to be more acceptable to just address them by their first name. But if they are a professor at another university who's a Brown alum, address them by Dr. So-and-so, or something along those lines. But thank you for this question. That was a great question. I'm glad that you asked. So here with extracurriculars and friends. This is just really getting to the fact that the people, your friends at school, and the people that you work with in your extracurriculars or even in your classes are your connections. They are people that you know, and they really do know a lot of people, and you don't know who their families know. And so when you're trying to enter a new field or want to pursue a new line of work or anything, you just want to learn more, start talking to your friends, because you never know who they know. And also reaching out to any professional development, extracurricular activities like your academic DUGs, like the public health DUG. I'm personally a part of, and know that we have a huge alumni network, and also a huge just career development arm. And so reaching out to clubs that you're involved in is a really great idea, because asking what do you guys know? I want to learn more. And that's a great place to get started. And oftentimes is really overlooked by people starting off in networking and trying to emblazon their professional career and aspect of themselves. Yeah. So you've connected with someone on LinkedIn, they've written you back, you have a phone call set up tomorrow. I remember the first time I did this, I got so nervous that I had to reschedule. I was so scared of talking to this person because I had just worked up in my head what I had to do, how I had to act. And when I talked to him, it was completely different than that. My expectations were not reality in the slightest. So what I want to do here is help you not be so nervous and to give you the skills and information I know now to help you be really prepared for your first informational interview. So informational interviewing, what it is just a conversation that is inherently based on networking to try and educate you about the specifics of a job or an industry that you're hoping to work in. The use of this a lot of times is to either learn what the interview is going to be like, what the culture is like, what the role that you're looking for is like. And so it's really about learning the day-to-day, learning about also if they're of a little bit of a higher tenure in the field that you're interested in, learning about what got them to where they are, what did they do and what were their successes that really were critical to their professional development. And who you're informational interviewing with are people that you're networking with. So alumni, your friends and your family, the family of your friends, the friends of your family friends, faculty, LinkedIn connections. A big one here is faculty. Brown faculty are phenomenal. I think the 2 internships that I've held, I've got connected with through faculty members. If you have a professor that you really love or a class that you really enjoyed, talk to your professor. They are always more than willing to help you, unless you're in the chem department, because the chem department, frankly, I have some grudges against some of those professors there, but that's probably because I'm scarred from organic chemistry. I really put that on this recording, didn't I? All right. Anyway, informational interview. I'm going to keep going. So you're going to start with your elevator pitch. And what this is, it comes out of a question like, tell me about yourself. What would you walk me through your resume? Who are you? And what this really is all about is telling your story. Things that you should probably cover on are like where you're from, what you study, what you're interested in doing, how you became interested in this field of the job that you're talking about, and also how the alumni, if you're talking to an alumni, might be of help to you. So you say you're going to talk to someone who's really far in their career, and I just want to learn about your path. I really am interested in the choices you made, and I want to know why you chose to do these certain things. Or if it's someone really at the ground level of a company that you're interested in, say, I became really interested in this field because of the class that I took, and I was wondering if you could introduce me to more people in the firm that I could talk to and learn more about the day-to-day life. And that's an elevator pitch. There is a resource on the Brown Career Labs website that is called Effective Interviewing. It's a PDF. I recommend that you go look at that because it also has a how-to guide of how to craft an elevator pitch. And I really recommend that you take some time to formulate this and maybe jot it down, just so that you have ideas in your head of points that you want to cover in order to make sure that you're really well prepared going into that first phone call that you're going to make. And then, so here are some sample questions, and on that same resource that I just pointed out, has a bunch of sample questions that you can ask if you want to learn but don't know how to phrase questions, don't know what to ask. Here are some great ones like, how did you select this career? What was your first job in this industry? Are there any particular courses do you think I should take that'll prepare me well for this, for a job like this? Do I need to go to grad school before I can enter this company? Things like that. So after you've asked all these questions and you've introduced yourself and you've learned a lot, here's how you close an informational interview. It's actually very important, arguably the most important part, because it's going to be how this alumni or this connection remembers you. So big, bold, I guess it's not in bold letters, but in bold phrasing, never ask your contacts if they are hiring. Don't ask directly because it comes off of that initial connotation that networking has is that schemy, scummy, kind of using people to build your career, which is not what this is at all. And it's not what we encourage you to do at all. And because that's not what networking really is. So never ask your contact directly if they're hiring. Instead, ask them things like, what companies or organizations do you know about that I could look into that might be offering internships about something we talked about today? They are going to know the people, the places, the industry so much better than we will at Career Lab, that or you will as a person, to be able to know the inner workings of the industry, to know where you could fit in. Ask also if there are any websites or databases that employers use per industry. And you can also always just ask for general advice. I'm really looking for, I'm still looking for a job, just like it's written here. I'm still looking for a job or internship in this field. I'm wondering if you have any specific suggestions or advice of how to frame my search about going forward. And it's closing like this is super important. And again, that effective interviewing tip sheet is really helpful for learning how to do more of this. And so here, a last thing we're going to conclude with are some sample closing questions. So here's a thing that you can ask alumni. I'm really interested in this field. In addition to where you are working, are there any other organizations that you suggest that I look into that maybe are hiring at my level? Do you suggest any suggestions you have for steps to increase my chances of getting an interview with this company or with this in the industry in general? So here's some great things that I think you should take a look at a little bit. And this is the most important part, is the follow-up thank you. So within 24 hours, and an email is ideal. I think previously they had written a letter. Nobody writes letters anymore. I'm gonna just leave it there. This is expected to anyone that you that you've had a phone call with, and they know it's coming. You should really do it. They expect it to happen. It's not of like a gratitude or an ego thing. It's just courtesy and really tradition. But it's also a great time to indicate something that you really took away from your conversation with them. So I really love what you said and the advice you gave me about the interview process and what kinds of questions I should be asking about a job to make sure it's a good fit for me. I really internalize that advice, and I'm very excited to be able to use that. And always doing something like that to indicate and personalize your email, saying thank you, I really appreciate your time. Any way you can personalize that and make it not general is going to be really awesome. And here's an example of that. Hi, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me with me this afternoon. It was really nice to hear about your positive experience with Barclays, and as well as your opinion on this thing that has been removed. I'm confident that blah, 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 blah. I would love to grab coffee if you're in the office or on campus on Monday. I would love to touch base with you and meet you in person if possible. And they're going to be really supportive and accepting, and very excited to talk with you. This is a very great sample email. And that's what we have here. So we have a couple more minutes. I'm going to open the floor to Q&A for you all. Please feel free to ask any and all questions to either Jackson or I. We want to be a resource for you. Great.
Got
so
one in the chat here. Oh,
awesome. No worries. Do you have any advice on how to balance making time for networking versus handling other commitments like courses, extracurriculars? Would you typically suggest holding off networking until freer times like the summer? Do you have any insight here, or do you want me to take this one?
I can hop on and talk about it a little bit.
Cool.
Or were you asking me or the person who asked?
No, you.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that networking is something that it's definitely on your own time, like you said, and there's not going to be deadlines like there are with courses and extracurriculars. So I would be prioritizing those two things, the courses and extracurriculars that are going to be you're actively involved in now. But at the same time, there are recruiting cycles and for a lot of these things, and it's important to kind of be reaching out ahead of time. It's better to be ahead than behind. And so even if it seems like it's going to be taking away from your other two things, I think it's important to do this earlier rather than later. And it honestly doesn't take too much time. If you can set aside that half an hour block that you'll be able to schedule with someone for a call, that's like awesome, and it doesn't take too much time. And plus, the emailing itself, we have that Brown Connect template, or if you're reaching out on LinkedIn, you can check out the slides afterward. I think we have an example on there too. It doesn't actually take as much time as you'd think, because I know it's pretty intimidating. Whenever I think about networking, it definitely has a time commitment associated with it in my head. So
Yeah,
yeah, anything
definitely.
else?
And to build on that, I think to clarify also which industries have recruiting cycles, just so that we don't accidentally stress people out. If you're interested in finance and consulting, those have and also tech, those for the big tech firms and big consulting and finance institutions, those are in the fall. And so networking for that happens late summer, early fall. And if you're interested in that, please reach out, because we want to help you start doing that before the deadlines are starting to come up at the end of September. But outside of that, industries don't really have recruiting cycles and deadlines. If there's a company that you're really excited for and they have a position that has a deadline, get going, reach out. And I think that that is something that you should totally start doing whenever you're comfortable. But in terms of balancing, networking should be about 70% of your internship search and the time you spend looking for internships. So in proportion to how much time you spend looking for an internship, you should spend 70% of it networking, because that's where most of your reward is going to come from, just like I was talking about earlier. So I think that it's going to always be a balance. There's no magic number, but there are so many resources at Career Lab to facilitate it and get it started, so you have a better idea of how to do it in a way that is most effective for you. Awesome. Thank you for your question, Alex. Okay, so this next question. I just joined Brown, and it seems like a lot of internship deadlines are approaching. So how does a new student balance applying to internships and starting off the graduate program at Brown? I'm asking this because I am changing my major from undergrad to grad school and taking courses that will help me build my fundamentals. I think this is a phenomenal question. Jackson, go for it.
Alrighty, yeah. It's obviously going to be very difficult, especially when you're starting the new like kind of transitionary period in life, and especially because it's always super busy to start the semester, especially with the shopping period here and everything going on. So it's definitely really difficult. But at the same time, I don't have any particularly great insights for this, Ryan. Maybe you'll have some like keys
Oh,
to the kingdom here. But I think that you should just kind of go for those internships, and at the same time, we also have a lot of resources available to help you out with that at the Career Lab. So we have peer career advisor office hours. You can email those. You can email your resumes, your cover letters there if you'd like. And we're going to be available to kind of discuss anything with you there and make that internship process as easy as possible on you. It's not just you, because we're totally here to help. Perfect. Yeah, peer career advisors at Brown.
yeah, so I sent in that email address. Oh, that went to the waiting room. That is not helpful to anybody at all. Everybody in the meeting. There we go. Okay, so there's the email address. Please send any personal inquiries there. But I also want to dispel this misconception that most students have. So the deadlines that are currently happening are for, just like I was saying earlier, the recruiting cycles for finance, consulting, and tech, and also your just normal internships that have a deadline ending in September. But I think like something like 80% of internships get posted after this deadline. So don't think that the only time you can get a position is right now. There's currently a lot of buzz surrounding career development in the Career Center right now, just because there's huge companies that are recruiting on campus, and there's a lot of stress and anxiety associated with that. So that's where that misconception comes from. But so many internships don't get posted until 2021 and really late into the cycle. So don't think that you don't have any opportunity to pursue certain internships just because of the deadlines that are happening now. You can get an internship until the day that summer ends, because your summer internship search doesn't stop until you want to stop, or doesn't stop until summer stops, frankly. So again, if you want more nuanced, really specific advice, please reach out to the email that I sent in the chat so that we can help you with your search. And yeah, of course. Another question that we got: will the recording for this be posted somewhere? Yes. I believe it's going to be going onto YouTube, the Career Lab YouTube page, which subscribe, like, follow, subscribe. I'm a YouTuber now, I guess. But yeah, so it's going to be on YouTube, likely. And if it's not, we'll definitely let you know. However, let me work on getting the slides for you in the meantime. Do 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 do. Are there any other questions instead of me just filling in with Jeopardy? I guess not. Okay. There we go. So there's the link to the slides. And again, we'll stay on for just a few more minutes, but you guys are welcome to leave as soon as you are, whenever. Thank you so much for coming. We super appreciate your time. And please email the peer career advisors at brown.edu email address with any specific questions, comments, concerns, quandaries, other synonyms that start with the k sound. And please let us know how we can help you, because we love to help you and it's our job to help you. Please reach out. Thank you so much for coming.